And welcome to Brewers Daily, part of the Fan Arch Podcast Network. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on a Wednesday show. We had a chaotic game in Milwaukee here on Tuesday night. We got some minor league rosters as well to go over. But we have to start with the umpire that is making all the headlines, all the news. It's not Angel Hernandez. He's been forced into retirement. CB Bucknor should be next. Oh my goodness. So, CB Bucknor, arguably the worst umpire in baseball. I think he probably does have that title now with Angel Hernandez's retirement. But he's at first base. He's umpiring first base for the game on Tuesday night, which means he has the plate today. So, yikes. Not looking forward to that. But we get into this game, and Jake Bauers hits a line drive to second base. Goes in and out of the second baseman's glove. Throws it to first. Throw sails completely wide. Jake Bauers runs to first base. Okay, he's got an infield single. Cool. Great. Awesome. Sounds like fun. But CB Bucknor, out of nowhere, just calls that Jake Bauers did not touch first base. And so after the Rays threw over and to try and tag Bauers coming back, because they were more actually worried that he had turned left, turned towards second base. So just trying to make sure he didn't turn, because then you can tag him out. So they throw back there, they tag him. And typically that's when the umpire's like, no, safe, because Jake Bauers very clearly turned to the right afterwards. But that's not even what CB Bucknor called. He just kind of took them at their word that, it's like, he must have done that. That means he missed the base. CB Bucknor wasn't even looking at Jake Bauers. He wasn't even looking at the base. He was following the ball, seeing where that was going, just looking all over like he saw a butterfly. CB Bucknor, what are we doing? And so he makes this call very confidently. He completely missed the base. The base runner just completely forgot to step on first base, so we're calling him out. And sure enough, it takes half a second of looking at replay, of looking at the review, to be like, he stepped right on the center of the base. The bases are massive now. They're the size of pizza boxes, and Jake Bauers stepped right in the middle of it. I mean, it was textbook stepping on first base by Jake Bauers, and immediately this gets overturned. And everyone's just like, what are we doing? Well, like, seriously? That was the call? That wasn't even close. Kevin Cash and Pat Murphy are laughing at each other. They're just looking at each other like, what? What was that? Oh my goodness. And CB Bucknor, oh my God. Of all the embarrassing, horrible calls CB Bucknor has made, that may be that's at least top 10. That is up there in terms of all time just horrible calls. I mean, just not even close. Just straight up say, I didn't see it. Okay? And you should probably default to, yeah, he probably touched the base. That's what a normal person would default to, but not CB Bucknor. Not completely blind Bucknor. Not completely botches Bucknor. That's what I think the CB stands for. I think it has to be just absolute horrendous. And if it wasn't for replay review, I mean, this would have been an all-time Boo Bird session. I mean, this was, again, one of the worst calls you can ever see an umpire make. And remember, the first time through, the first series of the year, CB Bucknor's behind the plate. He gets 6 pitches overturned on ABS. He has just been he's been having a terrible week. And we get to see him on the mound today for Jacob Misiorowski versus Drew Rasmussen. This is going to be an absolute nightmare. I am not looking forward to it at all. Even Jeff Levering was talking about, oh God, this guy's got the plate tomorrow. Like, so excited for that, sarcastically. Oh man, that was horrendous. And there was another play earlier too. This wasn't really on Bucknor, where Terang is getting caught in the rundown and trying to go to second, and Cedric Mullins, the center fielder, comes in and try and finish off the rundown, and he places a tag on Terang, and then the ball pops out of his glove, and sure enough, they go to replay review. It was a very chaotic moment, but replay review, they got it right. They said no, tag doesn't count. Ball popped out of his glove. It was not on the transfer, and Terang ended up getting to second base. get another run scored, and that's how the Brewers took a 3-2 lead. And they did not look back from there in that 3-2 lead, and they end up winning 6-2 in Big Woo's season debut. So Brandon Woodruff looked really, really good here on Tuesday night. 5 innings, 67 pitches, scattered a couple of hits, 2 home runs, 2 solo shots, struck out 6, didn't walk anyone. Also very important, very efficient 5 innings for Brandon Woodruff. He could have gone out for a 6th, but because all that terrain chaos happened there in the 5th inning, it was a long inning. You had the replay, plus you got the run, so you took the lead. And so I think you feel a bit more comfortable. It's like, okay, let's just get him out of here with 5. Go to the bullpen, go to Jared Koenig, Grant Anderson, and just let those guys roll from there, and let's secure this victory. And that's sure enough what the Brewers did. Brandon Woodruff felt very good. He was heavy on the fastball here on Tuesday. Only had 11 pitches that were non-fastballs. 2 breaking balls, 9 changeups. That was it. Everything else was either a 4-seam, a cutter, or a sinker. That's all that it was. He was heavy on the fastball, had 30 straight fastballs at one point, but he was locating perfectly. He was putting the ball where he wants to, and that is what Brandon Woodruff is. I mean, he can change. He knows which fastball variation to go with. He knows where to put it, and he can get it there. He can locate. And that is the big part for him, being able to read swings, talking with him afterwards. He felt very good about his performance. He could have gone for 6, but again, with the way that inning went, just give him a little bit more time there. But Brandon Woodruff, phenomenal. He looked like the Brandon Woodruff we saw late last year. He really did. I mean, he was efficient, which is what he has been ever since he's come back from injury. I mean, especially since coming back from injury. It's almost kind of hard to remember the pre-injury, like just what the efficiency was like. But I mean, ever since coming back, I mean, he is in the zone. He is getting swings early in counts, and he's getting weak contact. Sometimes giving up hard contact, but getting weak contact, getting the ball in play, getting moving. I mean, he is just efficient. And it is a thing of beauty to watch him pitch. I mean, it is an old school knowing how to pitch kind of guy. It's not just powered. It's not just nasty stuff and relying on that. We're going to see plenty of that today with Jacob Mizorowski. But, I mean, for Woodruff, he was averaging 93 on the fastball, got a couple of 94s, even got a 95 on the velo in one at-bat against Junior Caminero. So he still can reach back and get a little bit there in the tank, get the mid-90s in the tank. But, averaging around 93 on that main fastball and just really pitching incredibly well. And set the Brewers up with a great chance to win. 2 solo homers. Woodruff talked about it afterwards, and actually some advice that he got from Max Scherzer talking about it is like, look, when you're in the zone as much as Brandon Woodruff is, such as Max Scherzer is, giving up home runs is just going to be part of it. It's making sure that it's not 2-run homers, 3-run homers, things like that. Those will hurt you. Solo shots, whatever. That's what Woodruff said. Solo shots, whatever. Your solo shots generally aren't going to be what beats you. So he gave up a couple solo shots, but still kept the Brewers in the game. 5 innings of 2-run ball. You'll absolutely take that for Brandon Woodruff every single time. And it gave the Brewers a chance. Shane McClanahan pitched really well for the Rays in his first time out there in 3 years with the surgeries that he's had. He shut the Brewers down and completely held them without a hit for the first 4 innings until things really got going. So just a really, really strong Brewers win. And just kind of looking back, I mean, Brandon Woodruff, you think about how good he is. Over his last 25 starts at American Family Field, the Brewers are 22-3 when he pitches. I mean, it is absurd. He's got a 15-1 record, a 2.20 ERA in that time, but the Brewers are 22-3 in the last 25 times he has pitched at American Family Field. That's just absurd. But that's why you love to see Brandon Woodruff out there. You love to see him out there for the Crew. And excited for what he's going to be able to bring all season long for this team. All right, moving on now to the minor leagues. The Brewers have announced their rosters for their minor league affiliates here on Tuesday. For the rest of them, AAA Nashville has already gotten started. Their roster's already been out. But now we have the rosters for AA Biloxi, for High A Wisconsin, and Low A Wilson, the Wilson Warbirds. Not the Carolina Mudcats anymore. They have moved a little bit, a few miles to the east, I believe, to Wilson. Brand new stadium, brand new name, and they're going there in Low A. So, a couple of surprises in this group to some, not necessarily to me, but looking at it, the AA roster came out first here for Biloxi. And, on that group, you've got Jesus Made, which, is as expected. Blake Burke, Bishop Letson. Those are the three main highlights, I think, for that roster in AA Biloxi. You got Tyson Harden in there as well on the pitching staff. You got some really good names there. You got Mike Bove in the infield. Eric Brown Jr., former first-round pick. You got catchers Matthew Wood, Darian Miller. Also on the mound, along with Letson and Harden, you got Ryan Burchard, Steven Cruz, Jaron DeBerry, Manuel Rodriguez, Brett Witrowski. So you got some pretty good names there with that group, but one name that a lot of people were expecting was Andrew Fisher. And Andrew Fisher was not on the Biloxi roster. He is instead on the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers roster, which, if you're in the state of Wisconsin, that's good news, because you can go to Appleton and you'll actually be able to see Andrew Fisher a bit more easily than when he's down in Biloxi. But Andrew Fisher, starting the season with the Timber Rattlers, I don't suspect he'll be there very long, especially if he continues to hit the way that he has been. I don't think it'll take long for him to get moved up. Marco Dinges, same kind of thing. Did really, really well last year. Got some pretty good run in High A, so I don't suspect it'll take too long before he gets moved up. But part of that is also the positional backlog that the Brewers have at some of these spots. So, you look at catcher, for example, with Dinges. AAA, you've got Jefferson Caro. He officially did get optioned down to AAA Nashville with Luis Matos getting activated. So you got Jefferson Caro there, who's going to be getting all of the playing time. And then in Biloxi, you got Matthew Wood, Darian Miller, who are two very good catchers, deserving of plenty of playing time. And so that kind of makes it, Marco Dinges, you want him to play every single day. So he gets sent back to Appleton. And if he continues to perform like he has been, I think we're going to see him move up at some point. Some of it may also depend on, when Caro gets moved up. If Caro more long-term gets moved up to Milwaukee, then we're going to see one of these other catchers in Biloxi get moved up to Nashville, and then Dinges would get moved up to Biloxi. That's how it would seem to make sense. Same kind of thing with the infield. Andrew Fisher being there, a third baseman in Appleton, going to be playing just about every single day over there. And, in Biloxi, you got Mike Bove, who's probably going to be playing most of the time over there. You also got, Eric Brown Jr., Jeremy Vargas. Made is most likely going to be at short the entire time out there. But Bove is a really good third base prospect. And now he had a down year last year recovering from, first getting back from shoulder surgery. I suspect he'll be better this year. I'm still really high on Mike Bove. So I think they're going to give him some run at that spot, especially with Blake Burke being, in all likelihood, your everyday first baseman for Biloxi. And then, of course, AAA, you got Brock Wilken at third base. So, and Jet Williams out there, and Cooper Pratt still there, but we'll get to that. But yeah, you still got those guys. So it kind of leads to a bit of a backlog with that group. So I'm not entirely surprised that Fisher is down in Appleton. But yeah, he's there along with Daniel Dickinson, Eric Batanti. Luis Pena is back in Appleton. He struggled a little bit after the promotion last year. Josh Adamszewski, Braylon Payne, Luis Castillo. Then on the mound, you got Ethan Dorchis. You got Jason Woodward is back. You got Bryce Message. Quentin Lowe is back healthy on the mound. Love to see that. I think Appleton, I think the Wisconsin Timber Rattlers have maybe the best roster of the group that was announced today. AAA is obviously loaded with the pitching staff and has some really good position players, but the Timber Rattlers might have the best overall roster of this entire farm system. I mean, I love this group. There's a ton of prospects I love on here. And then finally, just getting to what we saw with the Wilson Warbirds. Not quite as star-studded for low A as we've seen in some recent years, but you do have Brady Ebel down there, Filippo Detturi in the infield. In the outfield, you got Jose Anderson, Handel Fry Encarnacion. Jaden Fielder, son of Prince Fielder, is there as well. On the mound, you got a couple interesting guys. Tyler Renz sticks out the most to me. Andrew Healy, day 2 draft pick last year. Melvin Hernandez, Anderson Mercado. So, a couple of interesting names for Wilson. But really, I think the most interesting ones are in High A, Wisconsin. There's some really good ones in Biloxi. Biloxi is light in the outfield. Just looking at this, Jordan Adams, Desan Brown, Jacob Hurtubise, Damon Keith, Kalen Nicasia. Weak outfield prospect-wise out there in Biloxi, but the infield is loaded, and pitching staff is also really, really loaded. So excited to see what all these guys are going to do, and excited to get some minor league baseball off and rolling here as well. So that's going to be a ton of fun. And also, just kind of speaking of the minor leagues, I talked about it earlier, Cooper Pratt. Still no official word on Cooper Pratt. Would have thought with the news breaking on Monday that by Tuesday we would have seen some official word like, hey, this deal is done now, and we could get to talk to Matt Arnold about what's going to be happening and what the kind of plans are here. But still nothing official, despite we saw another prospect shortstop contract extension. The Seattle Mariners and Colt Emerson agreed to a $95 million contract with him. So another guy who has yet to make his MLB debut, has just a handful of games of AAA experience, who is signing a big-time extension prior to reaching Major League Baseball. So the Brewers may be starting a bit of a trend here. We'll see if, Connor Griffin, a Pirates shortstop prospect, is able to sign a deal. We'll see if anyone else is able to get going, but nothing official on Cooper Pratt. I'm not worried that, all of a sudden this is not going to get done. Okay, I'm not saying that. I think this is still going to be done here, but still nothing yet on that being officially done so that we can officially, technically talk about it with the Brewers. So it's hard to kind of know what the plans exactly are going to be with Cooper Pratt, if he's going to come up soon. I think this moves up the timeline, but does it start this year? Or does it start next year? Who knows? I mean, we haven't gotten the full details because it hasn't yet been made official. But I mean, Pratt's even posted on his Instagram that the extended thing. So I mean, it's basically done, but just not official quite yet. So we'll wait word for that, and once it does, we'll break it down here on Brewers Daily. So be sure to subscribe, get notified every single time a new episode drops. We are also on Spotify as well, in case you'd like to watch and listen over there. Follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. Lots of great content going up all the time over there. I'll be at American Family Field for the game today. CB Buckner behind the plate for Jacob Mizorowski versus Drew Rasmussen. That is going to be an adventure, and I'll be covering it all over on my Twitter at dgasper24, and of course here on Brewers Daily. So appreciate you watching, appreciate you enjoying the show here, and we'll see you again tomorrow for another episode of Brewers Daily.